You're very welcome back. Now, as of tomorrow, Ryanair are moving to 100% digital boarding passes, which means no more printing off your boarding pass at home and taking it to the airport.
So here to discuss the impact this may have on passengers is Elaine Burke, our tech journalist, and Camille Loftus from Age Action Ireland. Thank you both for joining us. So, Elaine, tell us what's happening from tomorrow with Ryanair.
Yeah, so the messaging from Ryanair is it's 100% digital, but that's not actually the case. So what they've limited is your ability to have that alternative printout option, because you are going to be redirected after you check in to the app in order to view and access your digital boarding pass. So instead of a PDF being generated, which gave people the facility to print out or have the PDF on their phone instead of accessing a boarding pass through their app, it now is all directed through the Ryanair app. So essentially they're pushing people to adopt the Ryanair app in order to access their services.
So, like, for people that may have been at home and had their, like, they printed off, they'd have their boarding pass with their passport, they'd be all set. That's gone now. You can't do that from tomorrow.
Yes.
It'll just gear you towards go on our app.
You can still, if you are checked in within the time frame via the app, it doesn't look like
the website as well.
It doesn't look like it's going to enable boarding pass access via the website. It looks like it has to be directed to the app. Now, this will be borne out in practice where I'll know for sure, but having not a flight booked, so I don't know exactly how it's going to manage. But they are going to allow, if people have problems with their phone when they get to the airport or anything like that, for people to go to a desk and get a printout. So printouts are still going to be able to be processed.
It says you must still check in online or on the Ryanair app.
But
so
as far as I can tell,
options.
all access to the boarding pass seems to be funneled through the app. It looks like they're going to stop generating PDFs to limit the access through the app.
So you receive a digital pass when you check in online or on the app?
Yeah, the digital boarding pass. But receive is not a very clear term there. Do I get access to a file that I can control access to, or do I have to access it through this app? And that'll become clearer on Wednesday when people are trying to process this, and there will be teething problems if you do have a flight booked.
There's going to be chaos tomorrow.
The question for this, unfortunately, is there is this maybe grey area until it's teased out, Camille, for people who might be nervous, who might not have a smartphone, might not be feeling too confident about checking in online. How is this going to impact them?
I think it's going to impact very negatively, and obviously older people, or indeed people who have disabilities and might find the manipulation using an app more challenging, more difficult. It effectively excludes them from using those services. There may well be a printed boarding pass available if you have logged in online, but we don't know that yet. And most people say,
no, well, you do. So you do. If you check in online and you have checked in, you can go to the Ryanair desk and they will print out a boarding pass for you
for free.
So, yes, for free.
That's what they say.
Well, they have to do that.
That's what they say. But most of the people who want to print out a boarding pass want it because they want to be able to take it with them from home and know that they have it, not have to arrive at the airport and negotiate that when they get to the airport.
Queues.
They don't want to have to deal with the queues, they don't have to deal with any of those kind of things. So they wanted the security of knowing that in case something went wrong with the phone, in case something... If it happens, if there's some sort of technological problem at the airport, whether that's to do with the internet connection or the scanning machines or whatever it is, we can imagine the sort of chaos that will ensue. You mentioned also the smartphone. So effectively what we're saying to people now is you have to invest in that expensive piece of technology. That is no longer a choice for you. You have to own one of these smartphones. You have to be comfortable using the app. There is no other option. I spoke to a woman the other day who was super frustrated because she spent nearly 2.5 hours on the phone to her bank trying to do something very simple and constantly having to say to her, I don't own a computer.
Yeah, well,
right?
And this is the thing, and now you're saying that, like, you'll have to have.
You have to have a broadband connection. You have to have a computer. You have to have a smartphone. Those are all very expensive things to invest in.
Yeah, we asked Ryanair for a statement, and they said this transition has already been adopted by nearly 80% of Ryanair's 207 million plus annual passengers, and will deliver a faster, smarter, and greener travel experience. It will also give passengers easy access to our range of innovative in-app features. Elaine, is this legal?
So I have a big question mark over this. So there's two things at work here. There's the European Accessibility Act, which does put upon companies to make sure that they aren't digitally excluding people if they have different abilities. So if I actually require like larger font size, or if I access technology using assistive technologies, if this app is limiting me in any way and forcing me to operate differently than other people, that is a form of digital exclusion against people with different abilities. Now, Ryanair has said that there's no accessibility issues, and they do have very good technical teams to make sure that those affordances are made for people with different abilities, but they could have challenges there. And this is a fairly new enforced act that only really came into force in the summer this year. And then there's also a problem of dark patterns, which I would class this as, because you are being forced to actively use the Ryanair app instead of other options. And that Ryanair app, you can look it up in app stores now, that comes with trackers and permissions that will broker your data with third parties. And that's the real value for Ryanair here. It's the data analysis that they'll get from app use and the fact that they'll be able to share that data with other brokers.
We were just discussing, though, the app, like, it is very handy.
Yeah, in fairness, I do use the app. I use the Aer Lingus app. I use the Ryanair app. It is so handy to use, but not everybody can use
and Camille, is this the way the world is going? Like, you think if you go to the Aviva Stadium to watch the rugby at the weekend, you go to watch a concert, it's all digital. You can't print out. You look at Revolut Bank, like, everything is going this way. So what, like, even cashless cafes?
Yes, it is going that way. And we have no fallback if anything goes wrong. We were chatting about this before we went in. One of the Scandinavian countries, for example, went very hard on this very early and went cash-free. Then Russia invaded Ukraine, and they started to advise citizens to keep cash at home, because if we're going to be subject to any sort of attack, that's exactly what's going to happen. We've all seen what happens when those systems start to go down. There is complete chaos.
Well, there'd be chaos in general.
But we have no backup. We have no way of no fail-safe security system to allow us to do this. Now, it's the same machines who are going to scan a paper pass as are going to scan an app.
We shouldn't be frightening people to not
it's
want
not a
to
question,
go and do
No, it's not
that.
a question of frightening people. It's not a question of frightening people.
You're kind of saying that if we get invaded or attacked...
No. What I'm saying is, if those systems go down, like we saw during COVID, the HSE got hacked.
Yeah.
Right? That potentially affects all of your health systems. The entire health system can go down. The more dependent we become on those technologies, the more vulnerable we also become on those technologies. So we need to manage those two things.
And we certainly do. And then there is the case like in Heathrow and Brussels and all, when the systems go down, if everybody's it's on
bedlam.
an app, it's going to be absolute chaos.
Now, the mobile ticketing that you mentioned, Tommy, the reason why that's mobile only is because those barcodes are refreshing every 15 seconds. It doesn't look like that's the... Now, I don't know this for sure. It doesn't look like that's the system Ryanair is going to adopt, because they are still going to have facility for paper passes for people who arrive at the airport. So it looks like they have the facility to continue using paper passes. They've just told customers they won't be making that available to them anymore.
Okay. Well, Elaine Burke for TechSafe, our tech journalist, and Camille Loftus from Age Action Ireland. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.